enough farm is just not there yet. He's only got 1 point up in the Greevil's Greed and only now starting. You went fighting Alchemist. Now this like sit back and just holla holla.
And that's what Na'Vi knows. With Alchemist not being too farmed in this game, of course he's trying his hardest to just catch up now to make up for that early game where he had to fight. It was not a choice that he could do anything different. He just had to. But with him catching up farm now, I'm still really looking. It's looking good for Na'Vi because they could finish up another BKB on Mirana. She's going for it. It's going to be a long while, but when she gets it, there won't be too much damage being dealt to the core heroes of Na'Vi.
That's true. And you just don't don't care about the Ravage. You won't care about the Prophet Ultimate. You won't care about Visage. You can't nuke you.
Yeah, Nyx, same thing there. Of course, he has his ulti, but that's all he really has. And you can even kill him as he has his Carapace up.
They're still going to need more than that, though, because this DPS will come in time. It'll come in time. And getting BKBs off at the right time and then making the most of the duration of it, that's also not the easiest task in the world if you're going to have a Prophet running around with a side device.
Oh yeah, that's
Chickens can't BKB, man.
It's going to be a really, really early type of Vice as well, this game. Ohio playing such a nice Furion.
My bigger question is really, when is Havor's going to get his Desolator? He needs that Deso.
Yeah, they need more damage to come out of Na'Vi, but with 3 BKBs, if they can finish up that as well, that's going to mean that they have a lot of time to deal damage. But when you have a hero like Alchemist who just regenerates, you want to bring him down fast, not long fights.
This is Orange now trying to make the most out of this Aegis. It's only got another 30 seconds or so. Arrow will fly, and it hits a long stun on Extinct. But it's so far behind the lines of Orange that Na'Vi can't dive in for that. And they're going to have to abandon it. Even one of the illusions of Visage spotting a Vorce trying to come around through the rear. And check, there's now your 30-second countdown on that Aegis the Immortal. But Orange now, there's only 2 outer towers of Na'Vi remaining on the map. They have definitely got a firm grip around the throat of Na'Vi.
They do, and even Na'Vi just backing out here. They know they can't really push bottom. Na'Vi have little to no vision. They have some vision on the bottom lane, but that's really it.
Yeah, that one ward that's down here. In fact, is that their only ward? It looks like their only ward.
It is their only ward.
They can't even see up a little bit higher. Like, they will never know when Ohio comes into the map.
And look at the vision that Orange had with the ward they placed next to the tier 2 tower on top. That gives us such nice information for Furion. He knows how far he can push every single time he goes for a split push on top. He knows when someone is coming in for him.
Yeah.
Because there's no Shadow Blade on this DK. This is a DK with BKB because he has to go for that build.
Also a very difficult ward to de-ward. Like, you want to check wards around, you probably check a little bit lower than that.
Yeah, you
but
pretty much would wish that you would be in the position that Orange is in, having a supporter run around with, of course, Point Booster, Medallion, and a Gem. Gem allowing you to just de-ward wherever you want.
Well, speak of Gem, Havor's wants something. It's walking around with it. And Havor's is trusted with a very expensive item which drops on death.
Yeah, and he has less than 1,000 HP right now. Just want to point that out. So if he gets caught, he will probably get bursted down.
Yeah.
He has to play really, really well and just use his BKB in time.
So everyone just moving back in. Like, this is just that passive point. They know Na'Vi respect the team fight of Orange, and Orange doing exactly the same for Na'Vi. This is all about timing of items.
It's not even only that. It's with the split push coming in from Orange all the time with Furion. Na'Vi can't really look for a fight too hard before they have to go and deal with the push coming in from the side lanes. See, as soon as they go top, he starts pushing bottom. That means that his team has a lot of freedom to do whatever they want to do.
Funnick has to be careful running this close. He just saw Orange de-ward because with both teams with a Gem, no one's going to keep any kind of vision of wards. It's all going to come from positioning on the map. And Orange are the ones that force the positioning. They're the guys that... They're the ones pushing in and hold the high ground. They throw down another ward. Havor's, he's going to get caught, he's going to get picked, and he's going to go down. The Gem goes on the sidelines. The Naga throws out the ultimate so Puppey can steal the Gem and try and TB out under the cover of it too. He gets out.
Amazing. What a save on the Gem.
They're still going to lose their tier 2 tower, and they still lost to Vorst again. This Weaver is never going to get a big item again. He's 1-4-1 in this game. And Puppey is not really sharing the same kind of thing too. He's 0-5 on the Bane, really taking it for the team.
Yeah, they are not in good positions.
Even the Familiars trying to keep out these Naga illusions. At least that's one small little bit of harassment that Na'Vi can do without putting themselves at risk. Looks like another arrow extincts a magnet for these things.
Yes, definitely yes.
But that's the tier 2 tower and the last outer remaining tower. This is when it's breach time for Orange. 26 minutes in, they don't want to go up yet.
I'm guessing they're also respawning
gonna...
very soon, so they want to just wait for that one after taking this tower.
This is going to be the critical moment then. 1 minute on the countdown. So 27:30, we'll look for Roshan to spawn up.
Saving the Fury ulti for now. He's probably going to use it right before Roshan. Just make sure every lane is split pushed as much as possible right now. Just forming up jungle with both Furion and Alchemist. And they might have their BKB in time. Actually, they won't have it for Roshan.
Got the fun choice from Dendi. With all the gems on the field, he still wants to go with the Shadow Blade. He won't defer from the normal DK build.
You need to really get faster and get in there and stun someone. You want to be able to get in and initiate. Even with gems on the field, that is the go-to build on this hero. You can't really go for something else. You could go for a Blink Dagger, but it gives you no damage output. You would be so useless, just an initiator.
Look at the call from Orange. Everyone's missing on lanes. No one's defending bot, no one's defending top, no one's in middle.
Very obvious smoke coming out from Na'Vi. Of course, I say that it wasn't obvious at the point they smoked, but as the lanes start pushing in this far and no one is taking them, that point is very obvious to Orange.
The big man's back. The big man is back. Kuro, this is the worst thing for him. 45 seconds on the Naga ultimate on cooldown. That is the worst thing that could be happening to you right now, especially when Roshan has negative 14 armor. This will be Roshan's death. Nothing will be able to really prevent this. Of course, he'll throw the bugs out there, but Roshan's going to be dead before it even arrives. And Alchemist, again, will take the Agassi model. Arrow flies in. Again, the Familiars are able to tank these little suckers up.
And we now have 2.4k gold on this Tidehunter as well. Not only does Mushi have...
Are you thinking Pipe or Blink?
I'm thinking Blink, man. I'm really thinking Blink.
Well, Courier's back at base. It can buy whatever it wants to.
I like the build that we see coming out from Net on that Nyx. He really knows how to play some interesting support. And look at that, just buying Earn into a Vit booster. He has 1.2k HP on an agility hero that has very, very good armor. Has 6 armor already, so
he can basically just run in, do his stuns, actually spike Carabas, annoy the crap out of him, and they still won't be able to kill him properly.
Yes, so for a supporter, he's very hard to kill.
It's funny because also there's no damage item. Like, Dendi went in for the Shadow Amulet to start with. He didn't even get the Claymore as part of the Shadow Blade to start with.
Well, his attack speed is pretty high now with it, and he has decent damage from the start. So I believe that actually Shadow Amulet gives him maybe even more, but he needs to finish up the entire thing. It's not enough to just run around with the Amulet.
So we see Havor's next item as well. He's not going to go Desolator. In fact, he's going to go into a Monkey King Bar. Going up for the Javelin to start with.
Maybe he's fearful of people starting to buy up those halberds, just giving a lot of evasion chance.
We're going to This is not going to be a good trade for Na'Vi. They've got to come back. Orange are pushing all 5 through the bottom, and Na'Vi aren't even near that tier 2 tower on the top lane. They have to defend this. And now you've already got Kuro. Illusions have to be sent in to start with. And there's already concoction. Look how aggressive Mushi's being. Dendi will go invis to try and evade.
Mushi, of course, has that Aegis of the Immortal. We should remember that.
Long arrow. Very long arrow.
Yeah,
the ping comes out from
Carapace,
Poppy. Yeah, again, it's like how many of these arrows have hit on the other side of the line of Orange? It's so far behind. Fortification slowing down Orange. They've lost their creep wave and a new one now arrives. So Mushi wants to turn around, but he's got very little damage with this Enfeeble.
Enfeeble being a really good spell against any form of right click like this. Only level 1, but already it gives you minus 30. Yeah.
There's your Blink Dagger. Blink Dagger tied.
So he did wait quite long. I was thinking maybe he will head into something like a Shiva's God as he started saving up that much gold. Now we do have the entire Shadow Blade on Dendi. But with this 5-man movement from Orange, doesn't make a huge difference though. He wants to split push.
They want to give this a shot. Denny's on the front lines. Moonlight Shadow. Even Courier's coming at the same time. Might want to pick off that Blink Dagger. Death to all Couriers at TI3. That's a big kill as well. Now the tightness of the Blink Dagger. That's going to stop Orange from wanting to breach the base for 3 minutes. But with a Courier death, they still know it's a sandwich on this bottom lane. And the meat, Orange get put into a grinder. Extinct. Long stun on him. The Meg Charge will pop. Mushi double stun up on Kuro. Now the Ravage, Funnick and Kuro. They're both going down for divorce. It'll be a double kill. The BKB, even position. He's like, Avos, please just kill him. Not possible.
Denied.
Mushi, he's denied. Puppey is denied. Dendy is in here. They're bringing down Mushi, but Avos, the gem drops down. Mushi, Dendy gets the kill, but it's only an Agassi Immortal, and Na'Vi will lose all 5 heroes on
gem.
this bottom lane. 2 gems lay on the deck. In fact, one now picked up by Ohio. And we'll see if they can do damage to this tier 3 tower, but we've got 3 heroes. In fact, Avos decides just to buy back straight away.
And I believe Orange will not push the issue here. Winning that fight, coming out with 5 kills on Na'Vi. They do not need to force the issue right now. They can just go back, play a little bit more safe now. Wait for the cooldown.
The biggest upside right now, like Orange just destroyed Na'Vi, but they didn't destroy him completely. Avos still got 3 kills. 3 kills going the way of your damage dealer, and he's already picking up the Demon Edge. He wants to dish out this damage. When that Monkey King bar comes up, he's going to hurt a hell of a lot more during the team fights and hurt a lot faster as well. So then he can move on to the other heroes. The other thing is they sniped out the Courier. You may as well say it was a 5v4 situation here, and then the Agassi Immortal was also triggered, and triggered well before the time of it going down.
Yes, and we also have BKB finished up now for Funnick, so if they can hit that MKB, and they now have 3 core heroes with BKB able to just walk in, because Funnick really couldn't go in and dish out that damage, even with them surrounding the enemies. So Na'Vi have a hope, but I would say that Orange are claiming a really firm lead after that team wipe.
Seems gems are now used as sentries.
Yes.
Doesn't really have the same properties though. Extinct will come and pick it up.
And he gives it to Havost.
Havost has a gem as well? Okay.
Oh, yeah, he gave it to him.
So they bought a new one.
They did.
Alright. That was the gem I was watching outside the Rosh pit.
3 gems on the ground.
It's almost worthwhile putting 1 back in base, but there's nothing there for Orange. Again, this movement, this is some ballsy movement from Puppey. He just wants to ward up somewhere nice and aggressive so he can see the rotation. In fact, there it is already. So they slip themselves up, they know if they walk around the corner, they know what's going on, and now Orange also want to do the same thing. They're moving into the opponent's jungle. So both teams basically going to opposite sides of the map to find each other.
Both teams thinking, well, it's safer to go to enemy jungle anyway. And looking over at Orange, I like how safe they play there for just a few minutes, because now Chicken is alive again. It has that Blink Dagger, and they're sending it out to Secret Shop as well, gonna buy something more, but
it's picking up the gem. Gems are everywhere, man. There's so many gems. Ever since the change where you can't deny the gem.
It's decoration now.
Hang it on your Dota 2 Christmas tree. 1 gem for every tree.
Cooldown is almost done for Visage. He has that level 11 and Aghanim Scepter, so he wants to resummon. Probably gonna do it in a fight though. I'm not sure if he's gonna use it, because it's super long cooldown on it, and you will use it pretty much every fight anyway. So yeah, he is saving it. Very wise choice.
And what are both these teams waiting for?
Both teams are very scared right now.
Orange wants to push in through the bottom. The last 2 or 3 times they came down there, Na'Vi flanked them. They always look behind him, and you can already see Orange. Like, they're sending not only, like, they leave a ward behind, they leave a Treant, as well as having a bit of a wander around. They are trying to find Na'Vi, and Na'Vi are waiting for Orange to almost make a mistake, and then they can either gank him in mid or cut down into their own jungle and find where they know Orange is. But Orange wasting a lot of time down here. They're not getting experience during this period, but then again, they got 14,000 gold advantage, as well as over 10,000 experience. I don't think they care about wasting 1 minute.
They have the Soul QS, it's go time now. They want to just go in, force the issue. We actually have a full ultimate orb as well on Tidehunter, so he's heading in towards Aguintu as well, or of course, the Sheepstick.
Naga Illusions are coming in through the rear. This is actually a real problem for KYXY. If he gets attacked by that, it puts his Blink Dagger back on the cooldown, but both the Riptide didn't do anything. And now they do come in on the tier 3 tower. Na'Vi, they're a little bit further up. And with the, well, they've already gone with the Moonlight Shadow. Funnick going to throw the arrow down, hits on net. And now with the BKBs up, Funnick the only one affected by the Ravage. They want to bring down Ohio by the looks of it, but he'll pop his own BKB. Danny trying to focus down this Prophet, but then the Familiars, there's 3 of them up for Extinct. He kills off Avos, and they'll move deeper. Dandy on the run with the gems giving him the vision. He'll go down. It is almost a full team wipe. In fact, it is a full team wipe. Orange, the Malaysians, bringing down Na'Vi, and GG. Game number 1. 36 minutes, 25 to 10. Na'Vi select their opponents, and their opponents are happy to take the first game off them. One hell of a match. Orange,
and what a performance.
So patient as well. Orange was so patient.
Yeah, really patient. Anytime that they had to be, when they were waiting for Roshan, when they didn't have the blink dagger on Tide, any moment when they knew we don't have cooldown, we don't have the chance to take this fight, let's just back out, play safe. And yeah, just really nice play by Orange.
Yeah, it is, and that is now, well, game 1 of 3. There is even more coming up, and that's not going to be too far away. But for right now, we get to hand it back over to our boys to get to decode game number 1. Back to James and the crew, and they're over on the panel.
Thank you, Toby. Thank you, Wagger. And congratulations. Game 1 now going to Orange. They're in one map away from being able to secure top 6 and an upset. This really could be an upset.
Very strong performance coming out for them. I especially noticed that, like, from the get-go of the game, they wanted to dominate Na'Vi as much as Na'Vi likes to dominate early on. And Orange just stuck it to them and kept on fighting them and came out on top and really kept Na'Vi on the down low with their strategy. Amazing play, especially from Extinct on the visits. Probably has the best visits throughout the tournament so far. So I'm very impressed with Orange, and my fantasy team is very pleased.
Okay, so Ben, what did you make of the match?
I mean, Visage has been the most picked hero of TI3 thus far, and for good reason. He's really good at early engagements. His Visage familiars are incredible, especially at blocking bottom arrows like we saw for most of the game, and I feel that their Navi's lineup was a little bit lackluster. They didn't have any good combo with Naga Siren. They were really BKB dependent, and the Tidehunter just completely threw a wrench into their plans. And I'm very surprised that they let Alchemist through the draft. We usually see Na'Vi ban out Alchemist very early or take it for Havost, but they first picked Weaver and they let Orange get Alchemist last, and that hero is just a beast.
Yeah, definitely a strong lineup from Orange all around. As you were saying, the Tidehunter, Na'Vi could not fight them. We saw the guerrilla warfare by them at the first Roshan fight, and it just didn't work out for them. Even though they did a fairly good initiate, killing off Mushi from the get-go, there's nothing they could do, and I felt that was really where Na'Vi started struggling a lot, and Orange just kept on improving their item lead.
You can see where they want to go with their strategy, just pick off a lot of early kills with Net into an arrow or Bane sleep into an arrow. But once it actually came to the team fight and the mid game, they just kind of fell apart. Orange could split push with Nature's Prophet. They had a very, very good Roshan lineup tight if they actually wanted to fight. They had plenty of things to tank. They had double minus armor. They just had a more synergistic strategy.
And one of the key moments I felt, and what you're kind of emphasizing, is the team fights of Orange were really good. I mean, just having that Tidehunter and Alchemist in there and Visage just constantly be able to put out damage. And then it came down to a Roshan fight, which went in Orange's way. It started off, it was looking a little bit crazy, but Ben, do you want to take us through the Roshan fight?
Yeah, so they were taking a lot of damage. Mushi was getting really, really low. They try to sleep KYXY, but they can't really go. Look how close the heroes are. They're always running away from him. KYXY just has complete control of this fight. Mushi stuns himself. He gets really low at this point, but KYXY hits a huge ravage. This is before the BKB. They try and stun him, but even with Kraken Shell, he is almost always going to be able to get it off in the fight. And
he has to wait for his mana. There it is. I think he actually walked in and got some mana boots. Yeah. That's a free.
So here's the big ravage. Dendy caught in the trees, and the damage output from Visage. They were really good at focus firing too. Whenever their ganks went off, they killed one hero in a matter of like 1 to 2 seconds. And Kuroki couldn't counter initiate with sleep a lot of the time, and it was mostly just used to save people, and almost always they would lose one before the fight. So you're one ultimate down, you're one hero down. How do you win a fight from there, especially without good team fight heroes?
Exactly, and that's the difference between having Song of the Siren and having a Ravage, because with Ravage not only does it deal a lot of damage, but you can also put in a lot of damage during the Ravage, whereas with sleep you need something to follow up with it, so they can only use it for defensive purposes really, and that just didn't pan out with the lineup they had. Normally you would see like teams would go for a Darkseer pick or an Enigma pick or something along those lines. Even Alchemist, and Na'Vi had nothing to follow up with. They had a Dragon Knight basically.
Bruno, what did you make of the match?
I think there are two key heroes here going on. First of all, you talked about the Visage and how important it is. Also the Tidehunter. This is the second time Orange plays Tidehunter. In their 2 games he has combined 9 kills, just 1 death and 25 assists. It's a hero that fits them really well, and we saw how many times they got 3 or 4 man Ravages. That's crucial, especially when you have a Weaver. I think Luminous was telling, it was Luminous, he was telling me a couple days ago how important it is to have a Tidehunter versus a Weaver, because even if she's Shikuchi's, and you have to have some kind of detection, You just throw the Ravage, and she will not be able to run away in time. So it's a great control for that hero that has been, as I was saying before, one of the heroes of the tournament. And the other key was a Dragon Knight on Dendi. Dendi is not a player that wants to play those heroes. Dragon Knight, I particularly do not like him as much in mid, but I understand that if you get to level 6, they cannot leave the lane, because the moment they leave the lane, you just push their tower, kill it super fast, and then just get the items yourself. But Dendi is not a player that you want to keep in mid pushing a tower. Dendi is a player that you want in your team fight. You want helping Havos, you want rotating. And if you push Dragon Knight out of that comfort zone at the beginning of the game, he will not be able to catch up, get the Shadow Blade and everything.
And you and I was talking about this yesterday, that Dendi is really best when he has his intelligence heroes, or heroes like TA and Potch. Potch especially, we saw his Potch against LGD, and I don't feel like a Dragon Knight is something that fits his playstyle, or Navi's for that matter, unless they are doing the pushing force. And this lineup didn't really offer the pushing force that we normally see Navi do with Prophet and Enigma and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, they definitely... Oh, sorry, Ben, go.
No, they also had really good bans. They banned out Darkseer, which is Funix's really good hero, and Puppies, Chen, and Enchantress too. So they took out a lot of the early game, and they weren't really able to fight. Navi banned out Nets Sand King, but they still had a lot of team fight too.
Yeah, it was very kind of, to me, kind of relevant that the team fights, just because of that Nature's Prophet, were tipping it always in Orange's favor. Of course, you've got, again, great supports in terms of the tri-lanes, of Visage especially, with the Nyx Assassin, but it was like, if the supports for Na'Vi, because they didn't win the team fights and because they didn't have a pushing lineup, they didn't get the items they needed on their supports. Even when the game finished, there was no mech. And you know, and when you're going up, in a team fight, you need to have a mech. Like, sure, you've got free BKBs. They did finish with free BKBs, which were great to kind of nullify a bit of the Ravage, but wasn't enough. They maybe needed to avoid some of those fights that Orange were very happy taking on the top lane, actually rotate some of their team to Dendi mid, make sure you get the tower down and start playing around from there when your supports have a little bit more. But Orange just didn't let them. They just didn't let them. They were like, we're going to fight, we're going to push you. And those fights in top lane at the very early stages were fantastic. Even you can't fault Na'Vi in terms of their skill in the fights. Funnick was brilliant, Puppy was brilliant in terms of sleeps, but
yeah, and Navi, like you were saying, Navi relied on winning those early fights to keep the item progression going and keep making sure that Orange couldn't fight them throughout the game, and that just didn't happen because Orange was ready for what Navi had to bring to them. So we saw Poppy doing some great play with the Bane Elemental, but at the end of the day, the Bane really didn't do anything throughout the game. He did some fairly good nightmares, and he had like a fairly good Fiend Script from time to time, but there's nothing much a Bane can really offer when they have such a sturdy lineup and with all the items they had on them. And Extinct positioned himself so very well on the Visage that he could just deal tons of damage. Like in most of the fights, he had no mana left because he had just been firing off Soul Assumption left, right, and center.
Well, you can see his items he finished there, Puppy, brown boots. So I do believe we actually have another highlight from the game based around the gem. Hopefully I was here to see this, but here they are picking up Havost. Nice sheepstick, and that will win them the gem. So, is that going to be the steal? Run, Puppy. How important was True Sight for Na'Vi to deny it and Orange to keep it?
Well, clearly not too much because Orange ended up winning anyways.
I mean, the worst thing for Na'Vi with the gem was the fact that they had a Nyx Assassin, but it didn't really play much of an important role because all Orange did was run around together. Whereas for Orange to have the gem would have been crucial for them to win the fights because of the breaches of the Moon ulti. So we saw that on the bottom lane in the fight where Na'Vi ran around, but Orange still came out on top because Na'Vi have nothing to actually fight them with. All they could do is run. They had two defensively used ultimates in Potom ulti and in the Naga Siren ulti, so all they could really do was just run around and hope for the best.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about Havost. Now, he was playing the Weaver, and he had great CS. Obviously, he was had the ability to get great CS, but then when you wanted your Weaver to be able to start split pushing and really pushing the enemy back and stopping them from fighting and buy your team time, it didn't seem that they were able to do that so well. I believe he was looking to finish an MKB at the end, which is a pretty big pickup of an item, but you're set up against a Sheepstick, you don't have a Lincoln's, I believe. But how did the Weaver play out for you? Because normally the Weaver is a big impact hero, and it didn't seem to give them what they needed.
A lot of the fights in the mid game was really decided already with the Rabbits, and unfortunately for Havost, he got hit by a lot of them. And because of the sturdiness in the Alchemist, the Tidehunter, and even the Visage, it just meant that Hovos really couldn't do much. The only one he had a real shot at picking off was pretty much the Nexus Prophet. And that doesn't leave you with much good options to go for. So they got the BKBs up and running, but still didn't have the damage potential to actually bring down neither Tidehunter or Alchemist for that matter. Mushi was the one dying the most, and that spoke a lot of who Na'Vi decided to focus on in the fights, but maybe they should have focused the Visage instead, because most of the damage output was coming from the Visage. And that's just how great of a pick that is right now. And I think Na'Vi might want to pay more respect to that hero, because we saw Orange banning out the Chen and Enchantress as soon as they picked up the Visage, knowing Xtinct was going to play the Visage, so there was no use in having Chen and Enchantress available to them, whereas Puppey with a Chen and Enchantress is very, very destructive.
Yeah, Na'Vi didn't really seem like they had anything to fall back on. If they lose the early game, they can't really come back from that. They don't have great farmers, they don't have great split pushers, and on the flip side, Orange had a lot of things they could do. They could split push with Furion and Alchemist. They can just play the farm game because Alchemist farms way, way faster than any of Na'Vi's heroes. And they had great team fight too. They had Ravage and they had good gank potential with the Nyx Assassin. So they had a lot more flexibility. And if they were losing team fights, they can split push. If they're losing small skirmishes, they can just group up as 5 and push towers like they did and take out Roshan. I think that Na'Vi needs to improve their draft if they want to win the next game.
All right, so hopefully we'll see when the teams are getting ready, and we'll get them straight into game number 2. But the story, of course, is now Orange at match point. They win this, they guarantee top 6, and they could knock Na'Vi down into the lower brackets. So it looks like I was going to ask you guys predictions for the second game, but it looks like we're ready. But I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going out of the show schedule. Then Orange going to come through 2-0.
Well, I still gotta go with Na'Vi. I bet it 2-0, but my prediction's already wrong. I'm still going with Na'Vi for game 2.
All right, Malk?
I'm very impressed with Orange in this game, but I'm still leaning towards giving the overall victory to Na'Vi. I'm expecting Na'Vi to win this game at least.
Bruno?
I'm going to look at Dendi stats with Queen of Pain. He has been 10 kills, 11 assists the last time he played that hero in this tournament. Looking really strong. No more Dragon Knight. Give him something that Dendi can win with, and they will win the game.
All right, well, we'll see if that's going to be the case, as we're going to go back to the hall for game number 2 with Na'Vi and Orange.
Na'Vi versus Orange.
Welcome back, everybody, into the hall. We are live here, coming from wonderful Seattle. I am Toby1.
I'm Wagamama.
And we are here now for game number 2 of the winners bracket quarterfinal matchup. The Malaysian Orange going up against the Ukrainian Na'Vi. We have got, well, a second game in a position which I don't think anybody before we started off this playoff would have said, you know what, yeah, we're going to second game with Na'Vi being down a game.
Well, I don't know, man. Some people would, I mean, most fans, of course, cheering for Na'Vi, but Orange, they played so amazing there, and you can't take anything away from that.
Oh, no.
And they already head into a draft picking up a Nature's Prophet in this game as well. We saw how much they could use that hero. He wasn't even down there on the offlane too much, just helped out in the fights, and we saw him make such a big impact throughout the entire game.
Yeah. I also want to point out, too, I know the panel were talking about it, too, the Visage. The Visage and his nuke damage, he wasn't focused in the last game. Puppey says, I don't want to focus him. This game, I'll just ban him out in the first 2. So take out the Batrider, take out the Visage. Darkseer, again, the other ban from Mushi, he's not letting it through. And that Wisp will again be banned out against Na'Vi. But we get Lifestealer up for Na'Vi. One of their most played heroes in the past. We see him in multiple different roles. We've even seen him jungle by Puppey. We've seen him off lane by Funnick. We see a Vorst on the hard carry of him.
Of course, yes.
It's an all-purpose kind of hero, and that also means they can go their combo style heroes. Bruno was almost basically on his knees begging for a Queen of Pain. You put a Queen of Pain, a Lifestealer inside, bada bing, bada boom, boof boof, and then you basically got all the damage to kill off anybody you want.
Of course, and it would also work equally good with a Puck. And there we see something that Malk was touching on, that Chen. Not having Chen in the last game, it made it so hard for Na'Vi to just play out of it. They couldn't push. And of course, that was Mushi shutting it out in the second ban phase. So now picking it up really early, knowing that Dendi, he is very versatile. He can play more than just one hero on the mid. Yep. There is the Queen. I even believe that the DK works if you have a Chen and have the power to push through. It can definitely work. So I would fully agree that he needs to have a hero that he can play. It's just
5
they needed
seconds remaining.
more oomph.
Yeah. Oomph is the word.
Oomph is good.
Oomph is the word, man.
Time.
And, well, I'm looking at this going,